So here we have a newly installed database, and we're going to build a page up from the beginning. So we have a choice. We can, if we have a template to copy, or if we had a page already made and we wanted to copy, move, or clone any particular column and the post within it, we can check this second box. We're going to go ahead and check the first box to create a column from scratch. And basically, we're going to use this column to build the page within it. And if we go to the options, we see the width settings. And we're going to go ahead and set a max width 2000px. And we do that here under the primary max width. Okay, well, we go to Insert Post, top of column 1. And the first thing we'll create is the header, which has a header logo and a navigation post. We'll create a column to wrap that. Hit Submit. Now we go to the nested column that we just created and create two new posts. The first post will be yet another column. This column will wrap the two images of the logo. And then for the second post, we'll create a navigation menu. Hit Submit. There's our new column and navigation menu. We go to the column we just created. We're going to set it to float left. We don't need to give it a width because it'll be determined by the two images within it. Go ahead and we'll create two new image posts. We'll set the navigation to float right. There's two new image posts. At this point we can set the images to float left, and we need to set the width on those. As shown in the intro, we want to show how we can control the header logo so that it compresses evenly down to 900px, and then at that time it will stop compressing. We could set the images in VW units, and then they would scale proportionately to the viewer's view screen size. However, we want the maximum size of the content to be 2000px, which is the max width of the primary column. If we have a view screen larger than that, then any images would be scaled too large. And we also want them to stop scaling at around 900px. We're going to use scaling REM units. And the system allows us to set up REM, EM, and PX units to scale between the viewport widths that we want them to scale and at the rate of scaling that we choose. And for REM units, we do it up in the page options. So we go up to the Enable Viewport Responsive REM Unit option. We can set the initial REM value, 16px. We're going to set it to 20. That'll make each REM unit equal to 1% of the content width. And we want the REM units to scale over the content width. So for the upper value, we'll put in 2000, which means the value of a REM unit will be 20px on any view screen size at or greater than 2000px. And then if we put in a view screen size of 900px for the lower, we'll have a REM value of 9px on any view screen size smaller or equal to 900px. And then values are proportionately scaled between those two values through automatically generated media queries. But you can modify that ratio. You can speed it up or decrease it depending upon your needs. We'll keep it linear. Now, if we use the 900px as the lower range, that would be just what we need for the logo images. They would scale between 2000 and 900 and then stop scaling. But it's often advantageous to have them available to scale through the whole viewport width range. So that is available for other uses for particular columns, other posts. So instead we're going to scale it all the way down to a viewport of 250. So to make it work, we're going to add in an additional width feature of the system, referred to as RWD width units. So we go to the first image, we go to the width and float settings, and we're not going to use this EM, REM, VW, max width, min width, and width choices. Instead, we're going to go to the main width options, check number 3, go down to the values of number 3. And what this RWD width option allows us to do is that at the particular breakpoint view screen widths that we put in, we can change the value of the width, including the units if we want. So above view screens of 900px, we want to use REM units. So we choose a REM unit for the default unit, and we want a value of 25 REM. And then if we look, we see that we can set up media query breakpoints. We would want to put in our 900px here, at which point we can change the value of the width. And px would be a good unit to choose as it won't compress, but we don't know what the value is yet. And we'll use the inspect element to figure that out. The second logo will be 15 rem to begin with. We're going to set it up so the view screen width is close to 900 px. Right click on the first image, select inspector, view the layout mode. It tells us that the width is 225 px. And then we'll go down to the second image and that value is 135 px or thereabout. So those are the values we need to put in. And now we can put in a medium max width at 900 and 225 for the width value, selecting px units. For the second image, the same with the width 135 px, and we'll go ahead and submit that. We can upload the new images that we want to put in. We're going to choose the no resize option. These are smaller images, so it's not necessary to generate a series of cache sizes. We go ahead and upload the second logo image. And we go to web page mode to view what we have so far. There we have the initial logo compressing effect, stopping at 900 px. Go ahead and set up the rest of the navigation menu. First, we're going to create some additional pages so we can set up our menu links. So we go to the Add Delete Pages, Add Page. We type in reservations. We click here, there's the new page. We're just doing it to fill up the menu, so we go back. So we make a directions page, a contact page, a more page, a customers page, and then we can add them to the navigation menu that's automatically created with the new website. And then under the go to add and edit links for this, we go under add main menu links and we check the new pages that we have. We'll leave out the customer page, hit submit. So we go back to the navigation menu for a few more changes. First, we're going to rearrange the navigation main menu links. This is a separate operation, and then we hit the update main menu reorder button. Then we hit the navigation to the top, go to the home page. We're going to rename that to Thai Home. We hit the arrow to go back up to the top, back to the go to, down to the more menu option. And this way we'll add the customer page as a submenu link under the more page, which can be a catch-all for other pages if we wish. Hit submit. So for the menu, let's take a look at what we have so far. So the default styles look good for most of our needs. Font size is an important factor in determining the overall menu width, in addition to the number of links that we are using and any paddings and margins between them. We'll get the font size to scale in the rem units that we set up. We can set this up under the general post styles. That'll affect the font size at menu and non-menu icon widths. But there are completely separate styles at menu icon and non-menu icon widths, and we'll go ahead and we'll set it up at the non-menu icon width. Here we see lots of individual styling options and configurations. There is a separate video on this that shows how we can set up some styling effects. But we're going to go to the style individual links. We go to the list A element, text styles, the font size. Choose these other font units, check the rem box, and we'll set it to 1.25 rem. We'll also go ahead and set our padding up in rem units. We're going to change the default PX padding left and right units, and we'll put in 0.5 rem for each. And lastly, we'll give the overall post style a margin top of 5%. We submit those changes. As we change the view screen size, and as we continue compressing, we see that the menu itself goes to a menu icon at around 769 px by default. And as we go to even smaller viewport width sizes, We notice below view screens of 440px, the menu icon is now close to the logo, and on still smaller view screen sizes, the menu icon will conflict with the logo. And to prevent this conflict, we can easily reinitiate scaling of the logo. And we would do this by going back to the width settings of the two logo images. We had changed from rem to a px value. We would shift it back to rem at a view screen size of 440px, and then choose the appropriate value of rem that we would want to use. And then it would scale downward as the view screen size gets smaller. But it seemed more interesting to put the second logo image over the first logo image. So we'll take a look at how we can do that, and we'll do it at 440px. So we want to position the second logo absolutely over the first logo. Now we put a column wrapper around our two logos, and that'll make it easy for us to position the second logo over the first logo image. So we're going to go up to that column. We'll go to the positioning options for the column, and we're going to choose relative positioning. We can continue floating it to the far left, but we're going to bring it out a little bit. We'll give it a left positioning of 40px. So we go down to the media query option. We'll enable a max width of 440, and we'll put that in. Now we'll go to our second logo image, go to the positioning options. We're going to choose absolute positioning. And because we set the absolute positioning in the parent column to relative, this absolute positioning will be relative to the parent column. We're also going to give it a left positioning. The two logos are still in px units, so we don't want to use scaling units. We're going to use 40px units. We'll give it a z-index of 10, and we'll go down to the add media width options, and we're going to add 440px to enable these options. And lastly, when this happens, we're going to change the opacity of the first image so that as the second image overlays it, its opacity diminishes. It's 70%. And we'll also set that to occur below 440px. We'll use the Inspector Mobile mode now for the view screen width. Okay, now we see the logo shifts at 440px, the second image overlaying the first image. The opacity of the underlying logo image diminishes down to 300px. It still looks good. So that takes care of the header. There is one more menu effect we're going to add after we put in more content so that we can scroll the page. We're going to put in JS Sticky to fix the menu to the top of the page. That'll be in the next video.